Hello, y'all, and welcome back here for the final game of the day where we got two teams pushing for an 11th hour playoff spot. Dignitas and Immortals going head-to-head here. And when looking at the feasibility of postseason seeding, let's start things off and look at who they still have to deal with here in these last 2 weeks of play.
Yeah, we got to, because it is now or never for the teams at the bottom. We have a cutoff that's very lenient now. Top 8 teams getting into playoffs, but these ones are below 8. So we gotta get
That
there.
is astute observation.
We're gonna need to look forward because the opponents coming up are not that easy for them either. Not only are they already 9 and 10, but it's gonna get more difficult as we move on and we look for the other opponents.
Well, you're saying the opponents coming up are not that easy, but I guarantee you both these teams should be walking to this match thinking, hey, we can beat these guys. They're bottom 2. And that's exactly true. This is the most winnable of games for either one of these squads. When you're both hanging out at the bottom, that means this is your chance to use the other guy's head as a stepping stone to climb up in the standings and fight for that 8th place position.
Exactly. Now, turning to this matchup today, Allorim actually shared his thoughts on the matchup last week on the Bud Light League Lounge. So let's listen in, and you can remember what he said.
I think we have Dignitas 100 Thieves next week. So those are big games, actually, for us.
You do have Dignitas, that's correct, and then 100 Thieves, yes, on Sunday, exactly. So those are huge games against teams that
Those are
near you in
big
standings.
weekend for us upcoming.
Oh, yeah.
So are you going to do it?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Should this instead say, will Immortals make playoffs? And if the question is, will Immortals make playoffs, Allorim, where do you stand on that?
I hope we do. Small step. Well, so for me, I've always thought of my career in small steps, from academy to LCS to playoffs, and then from there. I'm just happy to be playing LCS right now, and then I guess the next step for me is be a little more consistent, make better performances, and maybe I'll think about how my playoffs performance goes after that. But if we can make playoffs this weekend, this split, then great.
All right.
That's a big step for me.
Immortals have had some good games in the past, but they also clearly still have a lot that they need to improve on here if they want to make that end of season playoff push. Exactly. Forward momentum is what we want to see from these squads, and particularly, I want to see momentum from Dignitas, because Dignitas, while they have had some games this split that looked like they were seriously getting their mojo on, they had some other games where it looked like they were pretty lost on what they wanted to do on the Rift and sort of just where to even begin.
Yeah, and on the side of Immortals, I think we were looking at Insanity because this is one of the guys coming up from Academy that they made the complete switch with. And if you look at the beginning, first 5 games to the last 5 games, his kill participation is a big one that has gone way up. He's getting a lot more involved with the rest of the team. The damage per minute has also gone up. He played things like AP Kog'Maw, he played Karthus, so he's looking at a lot of those scaling high DPS mid laners and trying to be one of the ones for a lot of the output in the team fights later on for this team, while still having a marginal increase in that kills and assists at 15, just overall being more active with the rest of the squad.
Yep, and as Insanity is one of those guys we look at for Immortals across the table, we're looking to Fenix to help enable Dardoch to get stuff done for the Dignitas boys.
Yeah, I think Dardoch versus Xmithie is going to be a big matchup. Typically, Dardoch invades Xmithie a lot, tries to take away a lot of his jungle camps and pressure. So we'll see how Xmithie and Immortals can do with that. Olaf banned out from the side of Dig, actually. They don't want to let Xmithie on any of those junglers that could fight Dardoch early or could get early game control.
All right, let's see how the draft is going to play out for us here. Olaf, the first ban, keeping that one away from Xmithie. Kalista banned out, Karma banned out. So not going to get Kalista here for another time today. Karma also being kept away from Summoner's Rift. What's it going to be here? Immortals Bard. Okay, so some nice focus on supports here early on.
Okay, a lot of bottom lane, yeah, and a lot of lane dominance focused here as Immortals trying to ban out a lot of stuff. Johnsun and aphromoo, for me, have been the best part of Dig in summer. Like they have been performing extremely well individually and as a duo for themselves. So they are definitely getting target banned here by Immortals. Meanwhile, Dig take out the Volibear, another one of those early game high agency jungle champions, taking that away from Xmithie. They don't want obviously to let him have anything Dardoch can't run him over with, so the response is going to be the Graves, and they take that out as well. One of the premier counter junglers.
And sure enough, Sett first pick blue side. This is a pretty common story being told these days. The champion is very popular, has a lot of priority no matter which side you are playing on, simply because of his flexibility in the draft and how much he brings to the table. Not surprised to see him locked in here. Immortals may be going for some Trundle action up against him. It really helps to soften up those meatballs if you have Trundle to ult one of them there. Also incentivizes your opponents to have more than one tank, and Allorim will lock that one in here for Immortals.
Yeah, and since they banned out the Graves with their last ban on third ban here, they don't have to worry about that bullying. I would say probably we'll see maybe Dardoch Lee Sin. Fingers crossed. I like my Lee Sin. It's pretty good into the Trundle because you get to choose a lot of your engagements early on and fighting with strong lanes and fighting around the objectives that you have better set up for. Ashe, no surprise there. Picked up here for Immortals. Maybe we'll see continued focus on Caitlyn then for bottom lane. A Johnsun, Afro, Caitlyn Morgana, or Caitlyn Thresh does sound pretty good to me as far as being able to, try and establish some presence here for the stars, basically, of the team. There we go. That's half of it.
Dardoch was hovering over 3 different fun champs that we don't get to see that much, and then he goes back to the Caitlyn, so we'll see another big range versus big range matchup here in the bottom lane, and LeBlanc locked in for Fenix there in mid for Dignitas.
The blind LeBlanc here from Fenix before Insanity's even picked up one of the control mages, which we see him do over and over, trying to be one of the safer high DPM ones. He hasn't picked many assassins, so it's just going to be another one. And the Corki now, when you fight against the LeBlanc, it's kind of this stand-in fight opportunity. So Corkis will a lot of time either run teleport or barrier or even exhaust sometimes, and you try and queue back onto the LeBlanc distortion when she comes in for the trade with you, and you basically just try and trade, fight her out, chug your corrupting potion immediately as soon as it starts, and try and fend her off within the minion wave when she tries to set up a lot of this harassment. And a lot of it will hinge on jungle pressure. You need to save your Valkyrie for when the enemy jungler is going to show up. You cannot be too lenient with that cooldown.
I like the Morgana ban from Immortals. They're keeping away that protection power from a black shield, stopping an Ashe arrow from doing its job. Dignitas respecting Allorim by banning out the Urgot. He is one of the players that has broken that one out in the past. Immortals also going to ban away the Blitzcrank here, trying to remove a lot of different champions that aphromoo can be proactive on. I honestly fully expect Immortals to go for a Thresh here on their 4th pick if it's not banned out right now by Dignitas, because they've banned everything else proactive away. They can pick the Thresh, which Hakuho is known for, and then Dignitas are going to be stuck sitting on their hands here again like they have been so many times recently. Poppy banned out by Dignitas. Show me the Thresh. Show me the Thresh. This is a play.
I think it's necessary to take that away, because aphromoo, we've been talking him up basically every single Dignitas game. His Thresh hooks have awarded them plenty of wins just purely by himself. They banned out basically every other one of those playmaking supports from him, and they will take that Thresh away. So very clearly, Immortals are also on the same page of, hey, aphromoo is a problem. Aphromoo has returned to his old form. And there we go. We get the first part of it. We get some Shield Lux. Probably going to be the Shield Lux support with just Caitlyn. It's a similar thing to Morgana, though. If you hit a binding, guess what? Light bindings work just as well as the dark bindings for setting up with Caitlyn traps.
Well, they will have a little bit less duration, but she can also bind a primary target and then still have it reach the target behind that one. So we'll see how well it works. But Lee Sin picked up for Dardoch here. You mentioned wanting to see that one earlier, and sure enough, that's what we're going to be getting this time around. But Kobe. Kobe. I am looking at these two rosters, and I am seeing a stark difference, my friend. Over on the Immortals side, I am seeing an Ornn. I am seeing an Ashe arrow. I am seeing Thresh as a champion. And over on the side of Dignitas, we've got a binding or maybe a flash kick play from Lee Sin. many more initiation attempts from a much greater range are available here for Immortals to start fights on their terms.
Aha. I like the assessment. I would also say that a valuable stat on the side of Dig is speed. They have so much playmaking and so many dashes. So they're definitely going to be looking for more flanks, obviously, for the Sett. But the playmaking of LeBlanc and Lee Sin with all of these dashes and ability to avoid things like Ornn and the arrow and try and set up a lot of these little skirmishes are what Dig want to play off. So basically, we've got a strength-based team comp and an agility-based team comp going against each other.
Okay.
You're with me here on...
Primary attributes. Dungeons and Dragons character creation sheet.
That's what I'm going with.
Let's hope they planned their dump stats correctly and everybody's min-maxed here and ready to go. Dignitas sitting at 4-11. Immortals sitting at 3-11. Remember, Dignitas is actually one game ahead of Immortals in the schedule because they had their first game of this week already last night with Friday Night League. They did lose that one. So if Immortals can pick up the win here, they will actually be ahead of Dig in the standings at 4-11 as opposed to Dignitas' 4-12. So Immortals have a chance to jump up, and we'll see if they can do it. Dignitas have had some rough times in recent memory, particularly with this agility-based comp. I want to see them get scrappy early. I want to see them get scrappy often. None of this waiting for fourth Drake to fight. I want to see some blood on the ground with Dignitas.
And the thing with agility in rogue-like characters is always, as long as you can dodge, then you're going to be great, right? But if you start getting hit by stuff, you don't have constitution to go along with that. You can't take too many hits. So better be dodging those Ashe arrows, dodging those death sentence. Dardoch goes for the early invade here with Viper. Once again, Sett brings the double punch to it, and they're going to try and push him off. I want to also, in these, you always have to watch the mid lane. So Fenix hasn't spent any mana yet. Didn't go too ham on the minion wave. He's just autoing it. But it looks like with just the wards dropped, we're going to have that standoff on red. I love having these standoffs. Even though there's fighting going on here and bindings are hitting, blah, blah, on the bottom side, it's way more fun to watch this. I don't even know what you want to call a ring around the rosy.
This is the greatest thing. The red buff got mad, it got impatient, and now it's reset. Xmithie is just saying, all right, forget this. I'm not going to bother with this. Dardoch will be able to take the red buff away from Xmithie to start things off here. Xmithie goes into his bottom side of the jungle. He'll go for his blue. And then I expect him to probably try to counter jungle the red buff of Dardoch. But now I question, will Dignitas be able to stop him from doing so? You can see Dardoch has claimed the enemy red already. Xmithie is not moving towards that enemy jungle here immediately, instead making sure he picks up his own crop.
Exactly. You cannot just go do that. Yeah, you'd love to get it back, but if you don't have bottom priority, and Johnsun aphromoo had done a good job trading, and they pushed up the minion wave. No bot priority, no red buff for you. And Dardoch knows it. He can head right back on over. He takes it away. Ashe Hawkshot goes a little bit wide, just checking the blue quadrant there. By process of elimination, Dardoch started on your red quadrant, and you Hawkshot his blue quadrant. He is in neither of those anymore. Where is he? He's got to be on his own red quadrant. So Immortals know Dardoch should be on the bottom side. Insanity does have to Valk away, but still stacked with the second part of the chain.
Oh, nice flash from aphromoo. Surely dead if he got hit by that hook there. Xmithie showing up down here because even though he did end up getting 3-buffed by his opponent, he still has the current lead in terms of tempo because Dardoch spent so much time just going on a Tour de Rift. But Xmithie now finds himself caught out by the binding, flashes away to stay high HP for the ensuing fight. Hakuho stepping forward. Apollo also going to be supplying some damage there with a volley, but now Hakuho forced to flash over the wall as Dardoch shows up. Sonic Wave will not find a target here, but Immortals losing 2 flashes there in that skirmish.
Yeah, and we saw the difference in duration of bindings you were talking about, where you got to immediately place the trap down on light binding for it to have enough time to arm. Xmithie was able to flash out before he ate the full combo there. And Scuttlecraft did go over to Xmithie, but with no flash, he's got to be very wary of Dardoch. He's just going to counter jungle right in front of his face, and Insanity's got the inside route.
Well, Xmithie does win these 1v1s straight up. Trundle's a much better duelist than Lee Sin is, except for the fact that the chickens were beating him up the entire time. So Xmithie gets ignited and auto-attacked a single time. The drive-by from Fenix to pick up first blood.
Yeah, nice story, bro. Let me tell you, red buff is great for fighting. Blue buff, not so much. And Dardoch just beats him up and even has Fenix come through with the dive. He had minions into the turret, goes through, they get the kill. Insanity's on the run. He will run his little Corki butt out of there and gets the teleport off.
All right, he escapes. He escapes. But it costs his teleport. That's a pretty big cost.
True, true. So, again, here. Red buff Lee Sin, happy to take the fight. You see Dardoch moves over to the side of the chicken so he can land the Q. Make sure he's able to get it through. He smites the big chicken first. He chases Xmithie off. I was watching Xmithie's cooldown on his smite. His smite still had another couple seconds on it. So as he was running away, Xmithie could not do the same. He could not smite the big chicken, even though it was right there. I believe the reason Dardoch does that is because he saw the smite used by Xmithie on the bottom scuttle crab. So that is good cooldown tracking for Dig, even though that was very close to coming off of cooldown for Xmithie and saving his life. Fenix coming in to finish off that extra damage is just the icing on top of the cake there for Dig. Double teleports.
All calculated, all planned, and now all the damage onto aphromoo here in the bottom lane. Immortals, they get themselves a counter kill. The game's all tied up. Viper tries to get away, and the Haymaker keeps him alive. Johnsun looking for some auto attacks here onto Apollo, but as both top laners join the mix, it's Allorim who ends up more successful. Very importantly, he had level 6. Viper did not. Just now finally dinging that level as Xmithie comes around from behind. Viper likely to have the Haymaker up and available here if they try to make some sort of a dive. They also know that Sett now has the ulti. They realize this would not be a good idea, and Immortals back away.
Okay, Xmithie, he walks down. I believe they saw him on the edge of that ward as he was sweeping around the inside. Double teleports immediately channeled, but binding lands into the death sentence. Hakuho doesn't care that he gets hit with the binding because he lands the death sentence. And with that chain, they get the very quick kill. As you said, you teleport down with a level 5 versus a level 6. I don't care what's going on. That is advantage going over to level 6. Ornn. Allorim was able to follow up on that death sentence that Hakuho hit. And again, actually, we saw the kind of delay there. Trap not able to arm out of it, so no kill going over to the side of Dig. Not even the one Hakuho where they were able to land the binding. Didn't get the full combination off.
Well, hey, Dignitas, despite the fact that this game is 1-to-1 on the kills, they still have a 1,000 gold advantage for themselves thanks to the fact that they're farming better in every role. Even support. Lux has 2 more minions than Thresh has.
Count it.
So
one for the
across
farmers.
This whole scoreboard, everybody's got more points on the Dignitas side, and it is buying them some early leads here. We'll see what that means moving forward as Fenix may find a good trade here onto Insanity yet again. Poofs right back to the Distortion start point. Nobody's really close to having a first completed item here just yet. You can see topside Allorim going for that Sunfire Cape as you would normally expect. In the mid lane, Fenix once again just picking up a freebie onto Insanity. Not a good look here for Immortals as they lose both their solo laners across the Rift.
Yeah, that's a quick double kill on the solo laners. Allorim topside. Nice ult there from Viper. You saw him maneuver around behind him. He calls over Dardoch. First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. And Allorim was talking about it on the bottom side, so he quickly got clapped up. Meanwhile, Fenix, that just looked too easy in the mid lane, honestly.
Yeah, that was...
I don't know what's going on there. He just straight up double Distortion Insanity. Let's see, Insanity has Flash.
It's full HP with Flash.
Okay, well, this was the one to soften him up. I believe there's 2.
Yeah,
that's
that gets him. That gets him to 2/3.
Then you just need your Distortion cooldown to come back up, and Sanji just takes it.
Bonk.
Like, walks up, autos him, Corrupting Potion is on him, Q double Distort, Ignite.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
No
it. There's not really anything else to
respect
it.
for the damage output here. I mean, you got to know what your opponent is capable of, and he waits out the cooldown. And then again, here is Viper. He set him up with the ultimate. Allorim says, okay, I've been had. I realize I'm dead here. Tries to kill the minions.
I mean, when you're in a situation like that, you might as well take your money to go because you're not going anywhere else here. So Allorim trying to make the best of a bad situation, but what an awesome situation for Dignitas early on. 2,000 gold lead, 9.5 minutes into the game. Dig, this is what I said I wanted to see. making some moves, flexing some muscles, spilling some blood here on Summoner's Rift early on.
Yep, the firepower.
The past 2 or 3 Dignitas games that I've cast, they've just seemed lost, not being able to make plays against their opponents in time until it just came down to like a Dragon Soul and it was already too late. So this is a much better look here for this squad than what I have seen recently, and I am all about it. This is what I want to see. They've got 2 assists on Dardoch here, going for the Tiamat very early on the Lee Sin for the accelerated farming. We'll see if he can steal away this chicken here from Xmithie. Hakuho has showed up. Xmithie using the subjugate as well. Over the wall goes Insanity. Dardoch barely living, gets away with the Sonic Wave back onto the Minion Wave to facilitate the last part of the exit. Enchanted Crystal Arrow finds the target. Hakuho's coming in. He needs a little bit of damage to find him in the box. Will not quite do it. The flash from Xmithie, but it's still a 1-for-1.
Oh my goodness. Apollo from downtown hits the arrow. Guess what your reward is, Hakuho, for being in range? He gets killed, executed immediately. But man, it was a sweet looking arrow from downtown. Too bad it just turned into a 1-for-1. Dardoch finally does go down. He still has plenty of time to use his Rift Herald, though. That's the one thing I'm watching is once you pick up that early Rift Herald, if you die around 13 minutes, you feel so bad that it's going to time out before you can get back into range of using it on turret plates. So he might get a little antsy now after that death and want to look to use it a little bit quicker to take down some of these plates. I'd say topside, that tower's already looking pretty worn, as it seems to be down to 3 plates already, with Viper doing a lot of work. Maybe he just heads there to finish it off. I mean, you only have to do a little bit more damage to that 3rd plate, and then just pop the Rift Herald right in front of Allorim's face. You can get your first turret bonus, you open up the long lane, you get your Sett roaming around.
And that seems to be the call. Dardoch is here. Go ahead, fire the Sonic Wave off towards the Krug camp, steal that one away, put this Tiamat to good use, keep that farming speed in tip-top shape. Viper's just putting the last little bit of work here into the Minion Wave, making sure that it collides right when Dardoch is about to show up. Allorim senses this is not a good place to be. He throws down the control ward there into the brush. Dardoch goes for the Sonic Wave, but there's no reason to pursue that one with a resonating strike. The turret is losing those plates pretty rapidly. Dardoch's not even summoning Shelly up yet. They're just doing this the old-fashioned way.
Do it by hand.
2 different punch champions just punching the snot out of that wall. A big old piece of brick. Just boom, 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 boom.
Top lane is Fight Club, man. You see it once again here, just bloodying up the knuckles. Let's see if he can get some turret plates out of mid with it then. This is the best situation.
I was going to say, he's got to use it. It's about to expire. We need to see that Rift Herald either summoned up right here for the tier 2 damage topside or for plate money mid. Where's it going to be, Dardoch? Time is running out. Okay, Shelly summoned up mid lane. Dardoch in hot pursuit of some chickens. Fenix hanging around here to make sure he gets some play money. Fenix,
it's fine. It'll go to Dardoch, and with Dardoch going the super farm route, like you mentioned, whenever you rush your Tiamat, you're saying, "Yo, I'm taking over this entire game." He has farmed up both sides of Xmithie's jungle, and this isn't Champ Select. I was talking about the counter jungling stat for Dardoch versus Xmithie. This is how it usually goes for him. Dardoch wants to just abuse him, and they got him on the Trundle with all these jungle bans. He's trying to absolutely take him out of the game. He took his whole top side. The tower's gone. The turret plates mid are gone. He got the cash money on it as well. This is a Fedly Sin game. Dardoch's specialty here. Let's see if he can pull some fancy stuff later on with when his flash comes back off cooldown.
Warrior fully completed now for Dardoch 2. Big power spike on that one. Huge cost efficiency on that upgrade, as well as Blade of the Ruined King coming online for Viper here in the top lane. So Dignitas with some big upgrades and an almost 4,000 gold lead of 14 minutes. My goodness gracious, that is quite an impressive advantage here for Dignitas. Also, Infinity Edge now done for the Caitlyn. The farm leads continue to grow across every single role. Mid lane pretty even. Insanity keeping up well there. But bottom side, 20 lead for the Caitlyn. Top side, 20 lead for the Sett. Jungle, 15 lead here for the Lee Sin. The Drake is alive, and Immortals had secured the first one for themselves. They're looking to keep that up here with this second one. Xmithie allowing the Drake to be pulled out of the pit, with Insanity backing him up along with Apollo to make sure they can DPS this down in time before Dignitas has a chance to contest. That is 2 Drakes early on here for Immortals, and it's Ocean Soul once more here today very big value there if Immortals can control these next two.
Yeah, and a big part of that is timing your package. Package is so important in controlling dragons for any team drafting Corki, even if you get solo killed in the mid lane as Corki. And you're really scared of this LeBlanc. Oh my god, you know, got the rush on fully completed Ludens. If you get package, it's been buffed so many times. Okay, Dardoch's in.
Oh, they're trying to make a play onto Hakuho here. Viper also coming in looking to facilitate this one here in the front line. The Haymaker will grab it. Big punch versus laser. Big punch ends up being a little bit more effective in securing the kill, and Viper's got his second one of the game.
Yeah, aphromoo actually flashed in for that attempted biting onto Insanity. Swing and a miss.
Hey, they still got what they came for. They picked themselves up a kill, and now they're on to Shelly number 2. Dardoch did use that first one to grab plate money in the mid lane. Xmithie coming over towards the Riptail pit now, finds both Viper and Dardoch just waiting for him, and now a beautiful flash into a 3-man face breaker. Dardoch also getting the kick off through the Immortals lines. Everybody from IMT in full retreat. Viper still there on the front line. Shelly down to 2,000 HP. Viper is grabbed there by a nice death sentence from Hakuho, and he's gone. The Haymaker was not quite ready to keep him alive there. Dardoch picks up the Eye of the Herald. Dignitas will trade their top laner for the objective.
Yeah, I'm thinking that aphromoos second binding went a little wide there too. I feel bad for Viper. He flashed in to get the big stun with the E, and no follow-up there, so he get punished on the way out. Another death sentence lands from Hakuho.
Johnsun using the cleanse to make sure that the follow-up won't do what Immortals wants it to. So Immortals still with the 3 kills, picking up the one onto Viper for a little bit of extra money in their pockets, trying to scale this one out. Down 3,500 gold, so they got a way to go, but at least they're not just letting Dignitas get away with these objectives for free.
Yeah, they're not letting them get away with it for free. They are still climbing their way out of a big deficit here, and look at the problems you have moving forward. What the heck do you do about your side lanes? You've got the Sett that's mega far in front of this Ornn, who almost is up to Black Cleaver, already on Blade of the Ruin King. Sett has such a big lead over Ornn. This is Conqueror Sett, so you stack it up really quickly, and you can run the Ornn down. Once he completes the Black Cleaver on top of it, Allorim just cannot be out in lane away from towers, ever inside lane, versus Viper. Already, you can see Viper heads up topside. Allorim's got to go to the Croaks. He's like, peace, I'm out. I'll see you at my turret, maybe. Other than that, you get run off. And then on the other side, you have this LeBlanc. Fenix already solo killed Insanity. Insanity trying to farm back up now, working towards the Trinity Force, but it's a similar situation where he's got to rely on the tower defense to allow them stability in the side lanes, which means Fenix gets to push first, he gets to roam first, and the mid tower is extremely low as well, so sieging with Caitlyn is a pretty good option.
Here they go. The binding fired off, just barely misses out on Apollo. Needed 100 extra range to make that one happen. Dardoch is pulled and controlled by the death sentence, but he will not be taken down. Allorim firing off the ulti, and Immortals may have found their fight. Xmithie being controlled here on the very front lines as Dardoch grabs the kill onto him, and now going to be taken down. A double kill for Apollo. Dardoch and Viper are both out of the picture, and Immortals will win in that one.
Yep, Immortals clapping right back here. They pick off Dardoch. He got a little bit too aggressive taking that Q in, and Hakuho lands another death sentence. Hakuho's Thresh, death sentence, death sentence, death sentence, okay? He is trying to climb back into this game, keep Immortals afloat, and because they won that 4v5 off the death sentence, it means Insanity's able to get the bottom side. So look at the map once again, 4v5 conversion here from Dig. They want to force it, but it is right into the death sentence. They lock him up under the tower. Then Fenix goes in as well. Ashe arrow right into the face. So good stuns there. Again, the bottom lane of Immortals. After that, Viper stuck inside. He didn't have any way to get out. Dardoch went in to finish up that kill with him, and it just led over to 2 kills for Apollo. They chase him out, and bottom side picked up here for Insanity. So Immortals getting right back to it.
Yes, sir. Apollo might be lagging a little bit behind there in terms of farm, but catching up thanks to the 2-0 and 3 scoreline. Next Drake is spawning, and Immortals would love to take that one and keep this soul stack a-going. Xmithie loses a lot of HP here, though. Fenix working together with the ace in the hole from Johnsun to really put some pain on this guy. Dardoch also now caught out by the power of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. If they kill the Dignitas jungler, that should surely be control over the Drake here now. As Viper's coming in from behind, he goes for the ulti onto Apollo, and a beautiful wombo combo sends Immortals home in some caskets.
Yeah.
Well done by Dignitas.
You feel for the AD carry on that one. When you see the Sett teleport, you just know, okay, at this moment he knew he was in trouble. Viper right behind Apollo and Insanity. Insanity was able to get out of there, but Apollo not so lucky. Big dunk right into the combo from the rest of Dig to burst him out. And what seems like, a loss there off of the first pick, Fenix. Whoa, flashed for that one. Allorim also counter flashing.
Immortals getting themselves in what looked like a good spot, and then all of a sudden not. Let's see here how this started off with Xmithie seemingly in some trouble.
Yeah, Trundle doesn't have very many tools to use against LeBlanc, but then with the arrow onto the Lee Sin, Insanity holds the package until both LeBlanc and Lee Sin had dashed. Then after the kick from Dardoch, he just AoEs him, gets him down with the burst. Viper's teleport, though, look at that. Into the Fenix
good.
AoE plus aphromoo AoE right into the center. Mwah.
So well placed there, lined up just perfectly for all the lasers and all the magic and all the other stuff that Dignitas is throwing out there, man. It's just it's just everything but the kitchen sink. Just throw it all in there and blow them up. Immortals really hurting after that. 4,500 gold down. Their soul stack has been interrupted. You can see that Insanity is the richest man in the game, but then comes 4 different players on Dignitas before anybody else from Immortals even shows up. That means that Dardoch, the jungler from Dignitas, the Lee Sin, has more money than the Ashe. Not a good sign. Not at 21 minutes into the game.
That's what a 1v9 gold graph looks like. You got one member on the top and almost the entirety of the rest of the team up there. Plus, now you got me thinking. Do we need a champion that's going to have a skin where it gets to throw a kitchen sink? The closest I had just thought of is Gnar, who can throw a whole house. And
yeah,
so
you could make like a plumber Gnar,
Gnar,
who throws a kitchen sink at you, and his boomerang is a pipe that he throws and it spins around in a circle and comes back to him. And when he, let's see, what's his other, when he jumps in the air, it makes a toilet flushing noise.
I could just imagine, because there's all the memes about the plumbers with their pants hanging low. When the mini Gnar transforms into Mega Gnar. I'll let your imagination do the work. Here comes the siege on the tower from Caitlyn, and the binding.
I did not need that mental imagery. I did not need the mental imagery of Gnar needing to pull his damn pants up.
Plumber
Gnar. My goodness. Well, Plumber Gnar can throw a pipe at people, and then he can give them the big old wallop and toss the kitchen sink and have the big toilet flush with the ulti. But, oh, man, I just hope he keeps them pants pulled up. But everything's still getting thrown at the Immortals squad here. The Dignitas boys are still stacking up that gold lead, nearly up to a 5,000 gold advantage, 23 minutes in. I already said that they already played their first game of these last 2 weeks. Last night they lost. So they need to make these last 3 count, particularly against Immortals, which for both of these squads, I already joked about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's true. This is the most winnable game for either one of these squads. This is the lowest rated opponent you're going to play against. And for Dignitas, they're making it look that way. They're having a really solid game here so far. 2-0-3 for Fenix on the LeBlanc, making things happen, has the Banshee's Veil ready to go, and we got our next Drake spawning in just over a minute.
All right, well, you know what I want then? I want them to get back to that game plan we talked about, 1-3-1. LeBlanc side lane, Sett side lane, they still have those advantages, although it's getting more difficult. Trinity Force now picked up for Corki, means Insanity has a lot bigger say in the matchup with Fenix. If that's the lane matchup that they go for, he can have much better return damage. Fenix then going with the Banshees, though, does block out at least one of the rockets, which definitely helps out quite a lot. I still would say the Sett, that's going to be one of the big issues for the split push pressure. Allorim can't really deal with it, going to have to huddle around the tower. Bork plus Cleaver is the Tank Shredder combo with your Conqueror. Meanwhile, Dig...
Oh, critically, it's Dignitas hanging out here in this brush, seeing if maybe they can set something up. Allorim just completed his Abyssal Mask, so he has both the Ornn upgrades, and he also upgraded the Trinity Force on the Corki. So huge power spikes coming out there for both the Ornn and the Corki with those upgrades. Package delivery is ready to go for Insanity. Xmithie there on the front line throwing out the pillar, but he won't find any lockdown from that one here just yet. Fenix over the wall. Quick little trade there. Not a lot of damage. Dardoch, he makes the juke with the resonating strike, but immediately jumps away from it.
Yeah, and the dragon has spawned here. This is dragon number 3 for Immortals. Dig trying to deny them even stacking up, but they're giving up their mid control.
Oh, Hakuho nearly killed off there by Fenix, down to about 5% HP. Well, they have the last little bit they need to finish him off. Immortals backs away. They know they can't take the fight like this. They must surrender yet another Drake, and Dignitas will tie this Drake count up 2-2.
Yo, where's the laser? aphromoo. Maybe I wasn't seeing the cooldown or something, but I thought for sure off that Fenix chain on Apollo there was going to be a, or was it Insanity, the laser to come through? Huh.
Yeah.
No extra damage to finish him off. Flash and Cleanse are available for Apollo, and Flash is available for Insanity. I think that was Apollo, right? That he comboed?
Yes.
Okay. Well, either way, Apollo still has both summoners available now, and we'll see them. They are going into that 1-3-1 that we're kind of preempting.
Oh, Immortals. What's the... Okay. All right, Kobe. Go inside the mind of Immortals right now. Like, all right, you're teleported inside their brain.
Okay.
What is the move? What is the play? Like, you're down 4,000 gold.
Bus trip inside the brain?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a little shrinky thing where you go inside a submarine and it goes inside their ear.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in there.
Yeah.
Magic School Bus. We're in.
Okay. All right. You're in there. Tell me what you see. What is the game plan?
All right. Game plan is they need to delay for the next package again, because package is going to be a game changer for their team fight. Then they can use the Ashe Arrow Ornn combination for the Force. The problem is everybody has flashes, and again, Dignitas are a really mobile team. But that is going to be the way that they actually win the team fight. If you have package on Insanity, this guy is juiced now. You mentioned the Ornn upgrade on Trinity Force, giving him extra value out of that. He's starting to spike right now, and you really have to respect the 25 to 30 minute damage output that a Corki can do. So that's going to be the game plan. That plus you got to watch for flank wards for Sett.
Oh,
Hook.
Nice plays on the Dardoch here, who nearly finds himself taken out, but Immortals can't quite seal the deal. So Dignitas maintains their aggressive posturing. Immortals coming in from the side here with Allorim, but Allorim now runs into Viper, who finds the ulti down onto Xmithie, trying to drag him back to the rest of Dignitas. Viper's still in a bad spot, bursted down, killed out, Insanity with the killing spree, and Dignitas continues their retreat after losing their top lane.
They just walk right into the flank. Allorim just dunks on him, and then Viper gets a poor ultimate because there's no good target for him. If he's just solo ulting Xmithie into the back of his team, Xmithie can just pop the Trundle ultimate. So Dig now kind of trying to deal with the scraps basically after Viper's down. All of their team fight has fallen apart, and this will allow Immortals to retake control of their jungle and clear the way in vision up to the Baron. That was
keep scaling.
That was such a big mark by Allorim to find Viper on the corner. He just runs straight at the possible flank. Double knockups there. Only the front line is around. Really, really nicely kind of countered there.
You've got a Corki. You've got an Ornn. Immortals can try to scale this one out. Still 5,000 gold down, so still not super easy. But remember, you've got a little bit over 3,000 gold's worth of value in upgrades just on the Ornn. You get about another 1,000 gold's worth of upgrade for every teammate item that he upgrades, because they're not all as broken as the Sunfire Cape and Abyssal Mask ones are. So about 4,000 free gold's worth of stats there makes this game much closer than it initially appears. And now that he just dinged level 15, you will see him have the opportunity to upgrade another item for an ally. But I do want to point out, none of his allies are currently sitting on an item that he either can or wants to upgrade. Specifically for the Marksman, for Apollo, he wants to wait until he gets Infinity Edge and then upgrade that. So probably going to sit on this one here for a while.
Yep, IE probably going to be the next one. Fortunately for Immortals, since they were able to grab the early 2 dragons, there's not a lot of pressure to force them into a bad fight, and that's why I was kind of talking about waiting for the next package, because that is so big of a power increase for the Corki that's already starting to deal a decent amount of damage, they can actually wait on that before they force another one. I mean, this is third Ocean Drake. It doesn't really change the game that much. Will set up the soul, but you're going to win through team fights as Immortals anyway.
Fenix going to find Xmithie and Apollo waiting for him here, but immediately back to safety. Arrow fired off by Apollo to no effect at all. Fortunately for Immortals, that arrow doesn't have the longest cooldown in the world. Unfortunately for them, it will not be ready as soon as the Drake spawns. So if Dignitas make a fast play for that Ocean Drake, they should be able to secure it for themselves. Death Sentence fired off, but won't find the mark. Fenix jumps in, and now Xmithie is their target here. The damage goes through, but a nice stopwatch will keep the Immortals jungler alive as the backup arrives. And Insanity goes on a rampage. It's 2 shutdowns here for Immortals. They kill off Dardoch, they kill off Johnsun. aphromoo is the next target. Lux does not have a lot of tools to defend herself from the 5-man collapse from the Immortals squad. Fenix is hanging out here in the brush. He gets a little bit of damage down onto Allorim, and by a little bit, I truly mean a very little bit. You can barely see the impact on his health bar. And Immortals, after getting 3 kills onto Dignitas, Xmithie with a wonderful bait, making Dignitas think they're going to get the kill, using the stopwatch to set it up. This is why I say stopwatch is the most broken item in all of League of Legends. 600 gold to win the game. That's a bargain. Buy that every time.
And that is why I say the package is the most broken part of Corki's kit. Man, I freaking love this thing. It's just insane. Look at him. He goes right back. They just got it. Even though Hakuho whiffs the Death Sentence ultimate combo there, Xmithie with the stopwatch, he pops his ultimate first so he can continue to regenerate in the stopwatch. That just stopwatch the Q from Johnsun too. That was going to kill him. And here comes Corki. Arrives on the package. Boom. Immediate re-engage from Immortals, and they can just scatter Dignitas across the map. aphromoo getting picked up as well. Now, in the end, the Dragon was picked up by Viper, so he immediately went over there in exchange for the Baron, and this is going to spur Immortals on. They have to get a lot out of this Baron because Dragon Soul is still going to come up for Dig. I think that this big push, though, is going to be a big gold increase for Immortals. We already mentioned the scaling. Infinity Edge is now done for Apollo, so Ornn can just go upgrade that as well, and you really have scaled to your big breakpoints.
Oh, Immortals have quickly turned this game on its head. Dignitas got to be beating themselves up over how that fight went and how they've lost control here. Bottom lane, the turret has been taken down. Allorim continuing to enchant this minion wave, push these up. They got 2 cannons down there, which means plenty of reliable damage, although it will be slow onto the turrets. You can see Insanity doing the same thing here in the mid lane, just juicing up that cannon minion, allowing it to do its job. As Allorim retreats from the bottom side, plenty of Dignitas players collapsing down there to clear out that wave before the rest of the team arrives as backup. And now the mid lane tier 3 is under fire.
All right, let the siege commence. Caitlyn traps go down right in front of the opening. It makes it really hard, even with Baron buff, for Immortals to get inside. You can see that they're trying to wait on every other auto there to try and get a little bit of chip damage. But these Caitlyn traps all over the front make it hard to make any sort of real push. That's why versus Caitlyn, you usually have to push 2 lanes at once. And Allorim is running straight into the Sett with the big lead, so Allorim can't really get anything on that bottom side either. And Dignitas, they've got 1 more wave they have to deal with. 30 more seconds of Baron buff means 1 more chance for Immortal to try and push as that last wave will arrive.
Immortals do have the tools if they can find the chance to go after Dignitas in open ground, but the turrets are making life so very hard right now. Dignitas playing well around these traps, trying to play as defensively as possible. Johnsun clearing out these minions here. The Runaan's Hurricane helping out with that wave clear, and Insanity's rockets will not be enough. Dignitas will hold the line, Kobe. The base stands firm.
Caitlyn is just so frustrating to play siege in, either with or against. Traps down, long range, hook landed.
Nice damage coming out from Fenix there. Xmithie down very low, but now the Immortals counterattack comes through. Flash over the wall coming out from their jungler as Viper is taken out and Insanity goes godlike. Low health bars on the Immortals, boys, but that doesn't matter because Dignitas are the ones who lost one of their bodies. Dignitas are the ones having to head back into the base to heal up in the fountain. Xmithie's still hanging out here. Fenix looking for some of the damage. Xmithie still somehow kept alive. The Ignite will tick down, and that very last tick will take him out. So a 1-for-1 here at the end of the day, but the day's not over just yet. Insanity has arrived, and he needs somebody to sign for this package. Nobody from Dignitas is willing to step up here just yet, so that means Immortals will collect their inhibitor and walk away.
Insanity right out of Academy onto the stage here with Immortals. He has performed really well for them, even in decent amount of the losses. And this time around, 700 gold bounty on the Corki. 4 items now completed with the extra Phantom Dancer shield helping keep him alive in that last skirmish over the wall. He gets the kill, flashes over, doesn't get hit by the laser. This is fully scaled up Immortals, and they are clapping back. 30 seconds.
Immortals, yeah, 200 gold away from what was a 5,000 gold deficit. Oh, how the turntables. Insanity doesn't get any real value out of the package there. Sonic Wave will not find a target. Insanity's Guardian Angel means even if it does find him, you can't really go in and try to trade that because Dardoch will guaranteed just die as soon as he goes in, and you're only going to get the revive off of the Corki. Ocean Drake spawning in 10. We could try to see a hero play here out of Dardoch to take it.
Allorim missed his combo on the craft there. So the timing,
it happens. The
timing on your charge into your Q. My friend told me a little trick for it. So he was like, all right,
okay, what do you got?
If you just don't play him that much, all you have to do is you Q, then you W, and you just spam your E charge out of your W. You'll always hit it then. The timing matches up because of the channel time of your W. So if you're a noob or you got autofilled or something, there's like child safety way to put it in and get the Ornn combo.
That's perfect.
So you can get always get your Q plus charge knockoffs. That's what I do.
All right. That sounds ideal then. I've only ever played Ornn once, and it was in an ARAM, and it went pretty badly because of that exact thing. I couldn't figure out how to charge my own pillar with the right timing.
So do it that way.
Now I'm equipped and ready to go for next time. And Immortals are equipped with their 3rd Drake of the game here. So that means if this game lasts for another 5 minutes, whoever gets this next one will get that ever-critical Ocean Soul. But Immortals are walking themselves back into the mid lane. Apollo will clear out the wave. The rest of the IMT squad will head over towards that topside river to grab themselves Baron control.
Yep, Baron control acquired. Boom, look at that.
All right, it was that easy.
Flowers.
Nothing to it but to do it. Now they're starting up the Baron itself, and they have so much damage to take this out with. You have Insanity on the Corki. You have Apollo here with the Ashe. Xmithie can frontline, just tank the whole thing up. Allorim can keep Dignitas away, and the Baron is just dropping so quickly here, already secured before Dignitas is able to show up and try to contest anything. Health bar is still full for Immortals. Another big win.
Yep, Immortals now, time for the victory lap. They've got Baron plus super minions on bottom side. Mid lane only takes like 2 more hits. You can literally even just go stand outside the range of those Caitlyn traps. Just buff up your cannon minion. Your cannon minions will take down that mid inhibitor tower as well. Then you've got 2 ways into the base. You just run straight forward. Even as annoying as it is to siege against Caitlyn, with this Baron number 2, Immortals basically have the ticket straight inside the base.
And Knight's Vow was just built by both Trundle and Ornn. So both Corki and Ashe are going to have a giant meatball connected to them with the Knight's Vow to help them out. And also the Maw of Malmortius for Apollo to prevent the one-shot potential from Fenix. I really like the atomization choices here from Immortals, shoring up the possibility of having either of those marksmen bursted down because those are the only real damage threats here on the side of IMT, and they've got to protect them. Phoenix jumps in there. He finds a little bit of damage down onto Xmithie, but Immortals have 8 turrets to their name that they have taken from Dignitas, looking to make it even more now, trying to push up towards this last remaining inhibitor turret, wanting to do damage to that one there with that cannon minion. Allorim escorting the minions into the mid lane here too. That inhibitor is exposed but not taken care of just yet. Dardoch and Viper trying to clear out the minions here in the mid lane. So much damage onto Xmithie. Phoenix has been doing a very good job dealing with this Trundle, who honestly isn't super tanky against him at all. Yeah. Tabby's is armor only. Knight's Vow is armor only. Cinderhulk is just health. You've got a little bit of MR from the Zeeks, and that's it. So Phoenix can obliterate this Trundle.
Yeah, he has gotten very close over and over to completely bursting out Xmithie. But if you saw also in the mid lane, Allorim and Xmithie, they are team players, my friend. They got the double Knight's Vows. They also just stood by the minions to buff them up with the Baron buff. They're even supporting the minions Look at that. they allowed the cannon minion to take down the mid turret. Those traps have expired as Johnsun has moved them over to the last remaining inhibitor turret, which means Insanity gets to walk on over, and they finally will be able to get inhibitor number 2.
Package delivery service ready to go once again, and Dignitas are painfully aware of that reality, as Insanity and Allorim just take a nice leisurely afternoon stroll around the Dignitas base. They'll take down mid inhib, they'll take down bot inhib. Now Dignitas have to try to continue holding on to the tier 3 turret in the top lane. Caitlyn traps set up to try to help with that, but life just gets harder and harder here for the Dignitas squad as they lose these inhibitors, and the Baron buff is still on for another 5 seconds. That should dissipate before the next wave crashes into this top lane. Yes, it will. Allorim continuing to push up here in mid. Insanity still having a little bit of time left on that package, seeing if he can get a good use out of it. Here comes the Ornn horn. They're looking to go in. Ulti fired back towards aphromoo and Fenix. Dardoch tries to get himself away, but Insanity's going legendary. A very nice counterattack now coming out from Dignitas. They're able to find the kill onto 2 players from Immortals, and Immortals lose the fight. They try to force it there at the very end with the Corki package, and Dignitas respond well.
Now, the death timers are a bit desynced from the Dragon Soul arrival, but it's not going to be members that can get there super quickly. I guess 10 extra seconds. I'm looking mainly at Xmithie and Hakuho here, so it could be Dig trying to set up early on this. Dardoch is also coming from base, though, so Dig, while you can set up at the Dragon, you don't have a smite, which makes it kind of 50-50 here, but they don't really have a lot of other options. You better just set up for it and just burn that sucker down, because and hope that Immortals don't get any damage inside on it.
Immortals with that just ever so slight gold lead still. I love how close the gold is staying in this game. It means we are sure to get a banger of an Ocean Soul fight. But Immortals have the advantage that Dignitas will have to respond to their base if they do this dance around the objective for too long. Dignitas is on the clock. Immortals got all the time in the world if they want to play this one slow. Hakuho doesn't, because he just lost 75% of his HP, so he's got to be super careful. Immortals are dragging the objective out of the pit. Dardoch, this could be your moment, my friend.
I'm just gonna
Immortals, keeping it aggro.
I just want to say the Nexus turrets are dying right now to super minions. Immortals are trying to stall.
Well, Viper's going in, looking to start the fight off. Nice base breaker on to 2, looking to keep this fight going here for the side of Dignitas. Immortals are going to be losing some HP. Dardoch taken very low. Dardoch is down. Hakuho keeping himself alive on the back end of the ramp as a shutdown occurs onto Viper as well. Insanity grabbing the kill on that one as Johnsun tries to get these auto attacks off, but they will not matter at all. Pillar over the wall, able to slow down the retreating members of Dignitas. Hakuho sticks around and just gets shot right in the face. But the important part is Immortals are keeping them busy. They are keeping the remaining Dignitas players occupied. All they got to do is stop the ports. The trades are happening. It's an absolute bloodbath. But Allorim, he has his hammer, and he's giving that turret a bonking. Bonk, bonk. Bonk! That is the sound of the war horn battering down the last bastion of defense of Dignitas. Bonk! 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 There's the win. Immortals, they have a rough early game, but they manage to come back. They take the Barons, they take the Soul, and they take the game against Dignitas.
Oh my gosh, look at that. It's right up there with XPK, honestly. Allorim teleport, boom, boom. Work done. They got the Soul, they got the fight. They had him checkmated, nothing left for Dig to do. Honestly, though, Dig came out of the gates. They were firing on all cylinders. You're seeing top lane, boom, gank. They get a kill there. Viper has this big lead. Fenix solo killing multiple times. It gets these kills onto Corki in the mid lane, and yet Immortals don't falter. They scale up for late game. They have the Ornn dishing out items left and right. Insanity starts to get some good packages off of them. They focus on objectives, and they pull the win across.
A couple of unnecessary deaths for Dignitas in the mid-game, followed up by the fight where they lost 3 that gave Immortals that first Baron, was the beginning of the turnaround. Congratulations to Immortals for pulling it off, and we've got Apollo for our Verizon post-game interview right here after a short break, so don't y'all go anywhere.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network. the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment, and you offer it all starting at $35. Because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
Welcome back to the LCS. We are here with the Verizon post-game interview, and I am joined by Apollo from Immortals as they take down Dignitas, and also Apollo breathing a sigh of relief after that game, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great game. It was like obviously a much needed victory, right? We're kind of on a slump, and especially since playoffs is, 7th place, I guess, and above. We are, or 8th place and above. Yeah, it was just super important to win, and Dig is kind of in the same area as we are. They needed to win just as much as we needed. So I'm glad that we got that, and our team played really well.
Absolutely. Everything around. We heard Captain Flowers and Kobe continuously yelling out the package, the finish to the end of the game where everybody was just yelling bonk on both the team and the casters. It seemed like mayhem, but what has Immortals kind of been working on to shore up these final wins and make sure that playoffs is an option?
We've actually been doing pretty well in scrims. I think for the most part we've been pretty consistent, so it's just about securing our drafts and just being a little more consistent than I think we'd be hoping for. I think especially the last few losses, we either messed up in draft or we just didn't really play to our strengths, and it kind of showed, right? And that's what you kind of see in a majority of the bottom tier teams. Like we just lose because we do some either we, like I said, we have a bad draft or we make some really bad mistakes, and it just snowballs from there. So I think it's just about consistency, and yeah, I mean, I don't think our game necessarily showed that today, but I'll take it, right? I'll take the win.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have Team Liquid coming up as well with FlyQuest after that, so it does continue to get a little bit harder. What's the focus right now? Obviously thinking about Dig, how to take them down, but each one gets progressively difficult here. What's the focus for Immortals?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much each one, every game is going to be more difficult than the next, I'd say, because we have 100 Thieves tomorrow, and that's like kind of another important match. They're in a little bit of the same boat where they're fighting for their playoff spot. And then we have TL FlyQuest. It's just about making sure, like, when we have the victory in our hands, we actually close it out, especially against those teams. I think we've shown that we can actually like compete with them. Just need to close out the games and get the actual wins, because that's kind of the reason why we're in the spot. You know, we had a few games that were basically in our hands, but we threw it away. So when we get into that spot, we just need to, you know, carry it through. And yeah, we'll just keep practicing, make sure that we're ready.
Well, it's definitely fun to see Immortals on those victories. It's a very big smiley team all around, from Allorim down to the bot lane, with yourself always smiling as well. It's a really great time. Apollo, thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to throw it back to the State Farm analyst desk to break down this smiley team.
Thank you very much, Riv. Immortals showing signs of life here with a very important victory over Dignitas. You heard Apollo highlighting that in the interview itself, the importance of the win over this team in particular when you're scrambling for making 8th or above.
I like their strategy because they know that their competition is 100 Thieves, Dig, and CLG, really. And they could just pick scaling, right? You don't have to do anything. Just try to outscale, survive early, and you're probably going to get the win, and that's what they did here.
Yeah, I thought that was a really smart strategy overall. And then it was a little scary, though, because Dig did have a good early game, which is the concern when you do what Crumbs is talking about. I think both Dardoch and Fenix had some good playmaking in that early game, comboing together and punishing the relatively passive, you know, Trundle and Corki lanes.
This is a combo that Fenix and Dardoch have actually played in Academy before, too. Their Lee and LeBlanc combination is pretty deadly. So seeing them come off to a good start, and then Fenix ended up even solo killing Insanity later on, I could have sworn that this was going to be just a complete stomping from the mid 2v2. Like, this is that solo kill.
After this sequence here, exactly this, and then what's about to happen in the top lane, it seems like disaster for Immortals.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start drafting this way, though, you have to be very comfortable with dying early. Like, if something does happen, that just means the enemy is playing well, and this is just, you know, the punishment for picking these kind of champions. So it was good that Immortals kind of kept in this game, and some nice arrows there, but especially the Corki into LeBlanc matchup, it is a really bad one, but like Crumb said, this scales really, really hard. So Immortals picking the Ornn and picking the Corki is, yeah, basically signaling, you know, with early game goes poorly, like, we do have some backup. And I think Xmithie was really important for kind of extending that, because there's so many times where he's close to death and it ends up beating Dignitas into overextending more. And this was the first big turn for the whole game.
Yeah, a bunch of them were in the mid lane kind of diving at this inner turret. It started off a lot of time with Dardoch too, going in, thinking that they can kill someone and just not quite having the damage to do so. The first time, it wasn't that big of a deal. They just lost some kills. The second one was the one that lost them Baron. And it was a great stopwatch by Xmithie to bait that. You heard Captain Flowers talking about how good of an item that is. I mean, here you get to see it when used optimally, that everyone is chasing forward, thinking they're about to get this kill and can maybe continue snowballing through the fight. Now you're stalled out, you have to wait, and they decide to try to retreat. But the Corki package comes in, the Ornn ult as well, really turns this fight around.
Yeah, really beautifully done. And I think to hammer home your point, Crumbs, or rather probably while some of those deaths early might be expected and maybe even just dictate the fact that Dignitas was playing well, Insanity suffered that early first death, but did not die again for quite some time. And so did a very good job for a young player to kind of stem the bleeding, you know, and just play passively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess expected is the wrong word, but it's more of like, accept it. If you do die, just
Right.
accept it. You know, it happened. So yeah, especially him being in such a poor position, playing against a snowballing LeBlanc, and he's playing the Corki when he gets the call. Like, yeah, his job is so hard because yeah, he's more susceptible to dying now because the lane has such a big advantage. So him being able to farm up and not necessarily play safe, but play reserved where he's not getting caught by the LeBlanc is really, really important. Like going forward, playing against 100 Thieves tomorrow, he definitely doesn't want to be in a position where not only is he losing lane, but he's also losing the game later.
Yeah, well, you've already keyed into tomorrow's matchups. Again, I think we got to highlight the importance of the win here today, but that one coming up tomorrow against 100 Thieves for those 4 teams at the bottom of the standings. Quick hit on Dignitas because they did start out pretty well. It did look like a game that Dardoch was, poised to take over in true Dardoch fashion, but a couple of missteps mean, they're staring down the barrel of being knocked out of postseason contention.
It's just the team tricky. Team coordination seems off. They had good early game. Even Viper was getting involved in some of that stuff, had a good mid-game team fight. But when it comes to those 5-man pushes around mid, that's where they start getting out executed is in the 5v5s.
Yeah, I wonder if this was a bit of overcorrection from yesterday because, Dignitas, a big critique we had for them was, they just didn't make any plays. They just kind of rolled over and died. So today it seemed they got their advantage, but maybe they were upset about yesterday's loss and they're like, all right, let's snowball, let's keep going.
Well, I'll give you another critique. That's one that we threw before, which is that Aphro, we want to see him on these high playmaking champions and totally get the Lux, right? You have Lux, Caitlyn in the laning phase. You want to be getting ahead early so that the LeBlanc and Lee Sin can snowball through that lane. But right now, I feel like that is not a compromise that Dignitas can afford to make. He really needs to be the guy that is setting up the team for pushing the tempo much faster versus having to take a backseat and hoping that they can find the right opportunity. He needs to get in there and be getting engages for the team nonstop, or else they're not going to be able to play these LeBlanc Lee Sins. They're going to have to go back to what Immortals was playing, Trundles, Volley Bears, and just go for scaling.
Yeah, LeBlanc or Dignitas now at 4-12, right? They're going to have to wait until next week to prove to us that they have what it takes to make the push for the postseason. But let's look ahead at tomorrow's matches, where we're starting our day with Golden Guardians versus CLG. Then we'll be heading over to Cloud9 versus TSM in that battle for second place, followed by FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses and Immortals versus 100 Thieves to close out the day. A reminder that Game Show Weekend continues tomorrow with LCS Bingo, where you could win free skins. That's right. Watching Sunday could earn you a free Masterwork chest and more. So tune in for all of the game show action. But gentlemen, I want to talk about some of those games that we have coming up tomorrow with our standings in mind. So let's pull up those standings and take a look at how all of our teams fall exiting our Saturday here. Team Liquid stands alone in a decisive first place, followed by Cloud9 and TSM. We've got FlyQuest, who won today, earning them fourth place as well as a spot in our playoffs. Towards the end, or lower end rather, of our bracket, Immortals have moved up past Dig and are hot on the heels of 100 Thieves and CLG. But zooming in on that TSM versus Cloud9 matchup first and foremost,
it's nuts. I mean, TSM could legitimately end up second, which would put C9 at third going into playoffs, right? That there is a world where C9 continues to drop and doesn't even get top 2 going into the bracket. So that is just such a shock from how this year began.
And the fact that C9 is 2-4 in their last 6 means it's not even that crazy to think of. I don't think TSM needs to play this insane game to take them down. I think based off what we've seen out of them recently, it's been scrappy wins, but they're 3-0, in their last 3 games. So TSM actually has a pretty good shot tomorrow. It's actually just insane to think about, considering where they were when they were 9-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me that coming into the week, right, the discussion was all about the fact that Team Liquid and Cloud9 were tied in this battle between 1 and 2, but this idea that 1 and 2 themselves were locked up. It was just who was going to be in which position. Now all of a sudden it feels like Team Liquid's running away with number 1, and it's really about who's going to be lucky number 2 behind them, and that TSM Cloud9 game will be a big factor in it. The other one to look at is Immortals 100 Thieves. I know we've talked a little bit about the importance, but I want to get a real quick hit on 100 Thieves, how we're feeling their chances are in this kind of bottom half race for playoffs.
Oh, man. 100 Thieves is in a rough spot right now because, when they first started with the roster swap, bringing in Puma contracts, I would say Contracts is still where we expected him to be. He's still an aggressive jungler, and he's doing well in the wins, and in the losses, obviously he's a jungler, so he looks pretty poor. But Puma and Ryoma, we were really hyped on early in the split when they came in, but in the last few weeks, they've definitely been dropping the ball, and we've seen like Ryoma kind of turning into losing lane hard and then not showing up for team fights. And like Poom today probably had the worst game that I've seen him play this split so far, where this is kind of like what you would expect from a rookie support, where he's getting caught out too much, he doesn't understand how weak he is in lane, and then kind of not really respecting when he doesn't have sums up. So hopefully these kind of little mistakes get fixed, because we're getting towards the end where these wins are really important.
I was going to say, though, the one positive is that they are still tied for 7th right now, and it's not like the people who are trying to climb their way back up are executing super cleanly either. When you look at Dignitas, Immortals, and CLG, it's a tight race, I think, actually, for 8th place. Any one of those teams still has a good chance. So I think a lot of it's going to come down to like who can maintain their mentality going forward when it's so close and it's so scrappy.
There's also another component of, do you put more of your practice right now and your compositions on the fact that you want to improve in certain things, or do you go for the things that will get you the wins right now?
Get into playoffs.
Nope.
Exactly.
Get into playoffs.
Exactly.
This is not a debate at all.
Yeah, it's not a debate, but some teams are doing it, because right now, why is 100? Like, I want to see Ryoma go back to these supportive style mid laners, Galio, Karma. Just give me that kind of stuff for Contracts, and they're gonna look a lot cleaner. Poom's Nautilus wasn't that great, but he has champions that he can perform on. So just get back to comfort right now, because it is the time. It is crunch time, and you do get best of series to really hone in your skills later, which will go a long ways for players like Poom that have never been in that position.
I love it. You can feel the intensity rising both at the top of the table and at the bottom. But that's going to do it for us here on this LCS Saturday. So on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later for more LCS. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.